Hey everyone, Scissor here, and welcome to this Shadowlands news video. So, today was the developer stream, and they finally announced that Shadowlands Beta will be starting next week, along with some in-game testing. Now, there was a lot of stuff that was revealed in the stream and a lot of extra things talked about, and I'm just going to go over everything that was said, but in a more compact way to just kind of explain some things and to also make it easier instead of having to watch the whole like 45-minute to an hour long stream. So the features are all there. That's why it's going to be in beta. They're going to add more invites, add a lot more people to be able to join beta. And so all the features should be in the game once beta launches next week. And they just need to work on it. So the level cap will be increasing to 60. They did not say if you would be able to make, pre-made max level characters, but, the end game will be there at least. So you'll also be able to um, test out the soul binds and the covenant features and all that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go over all of that right now. So the covenants, we already knew about the soul binds, and we got a little bit more detail. So as you can see from this, the soul bind here, Nadia, has Dauntless Duelist, and this is a passive ability that anybody will have no matter what class you are. And these soul binds are sort of like talent trees. Now, the empty slots are where the conduits will go, and these conduits, he said, are kind of like relics, were for the Legion artifacts. They will change depending on your class. Like you'll get specific conduits to put in, and it'll be different. So, like if you're a druid and you put a specific conduit in there, it'll do something different from, say, a Death Knight. And that's another way to customize other than just picking which path you're going to go to. Now, this gives you more customization, and it also uh, you'll be able to reset your conduits or soul binds and switch them for he said a minimum cost. It's not gonna ramp up like the Azerite armor did, and you'll be able to actually change entire like who you're soul bound with as well. So there's going to be definite flexibility there. It not not sure how you're going to change them, like if you have to use like a tome or you can only do it in town, but you are going to be able to easily change it, unlike the actual whole covenant itself. Now, another thing revealed was the renown system. Now, the renown system will allow you to get rewards for your covenant, and it is a finite system. It's not like Azerite power, he said, or artifact power. So you will reach a point to where you unlock everything, and there's going to be a built-in catch-up mechanic from the beginning to allow people to, not fall behind as they go up. And these rewards are just things like this one you gain somebody as a follower. So we don't really know the full extent of the type of rewards that they have, but each covenant is going to have their own full renowned system to unlock things. I'm assuming this is also how you get like the cosmetic rewards, for instance, for each covenant. Now, each covenant, once you get to max level of 60, there'll also be campaigns for you to complete. And you'll be able to upgrade your Sanctum, which is basically like the Order Halls from Legion. And you do that by collecting anima and then free souls from the max level Maw Zone. And when you do that and you upgrade your Sanctum, as you upgrade your Sanctum, you'll be able to direct the anima that you've collected to certain areas in your covenant zone. So let's say you're in Revendreth, you'll be able to direct that anima to certain uh, like areas. So then you'll be able to unlock things like quests, treasures, you said, and other stuff like that. And that is a temporary thing, but as you progress, you'll be able to permanently unlock those things. So you'll be able to see an actual progression that stays. Something that I think is going to be cool is, or at least more entertaining, is the adventures. They're the replacement to the basic follower missions, and he described it as a sort of a turn-based system that is, uses a match game, kind of like the follower missions, where you're setting up counters for the whatever you're going to put your soul binds. I think that's what these are. The whatever the follower equivalent is, and they're going to complete these adventures for you. And these adventures are also going to be able to be done on the companion app when it gets upgraded to Shadowlands. Now, I use the companion app in Legion quite a bit, and it was very helpful. But even though it was upgraded for BFA, after shortly after launch, I didn't even use the ship that much. It wasn't needed that much. But being able to do these adventures, slightly different from missions, even though you can still do them when you set them up to where you're not there. Um, you'll be able to use them on the companion app as well. So that'll be really nice. Now, one of the coolest new things that I think was mentioned was the new unique features for every covenant, which will make it even harder for me to select a covenant. So we'll have to see how this goes into actual play, but they're just kind of cool flavor things. But they all involve you able to get rewards. It's not like, at least the way it was explained, it's not like one's gonna be better than the other. So the Venthyr special unique or feature is the Ember Court, and basically it was described as the Venthyr like to throw parties. He said rad parties, so take that how you will. But anyway, it'll involve you seeking out guests, making them happy, and you're gonna play through the party and maximize their happiness and allow you to get loot and stuff like that. So that's kind of a cool little thing. Um, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Kind of reminded me of it was like one dungeon in Legion, where it wasn't necessarily a party, but or it kind of was a party, but you just kind of it was like you kind of scouting things out. I cannot remember the name of that dungeon, but uh, that's what came to mind, even though it's a different thing. Anyway, the carrion is called Path of Ascension, and that will give you this feature called like a soul mirror, and it lets you play as one of your soul binds. So he said it was a self-contained boss rush feel. So don't know exactly how that is, but it's literally you're like playing through the eyes of one of your soul binds. So again, we have no idea how this feature will work. Hopefully, in the coming week or weeks, we'll be able to test that out. But it has kind of a cool idea to where you can, play as one of the characters that you are bound with. And I don't know if it's you whatever soulbind that you picked, or you'll be able to select any of them. But that's the idea behind that. Now, the Necrolords is one of the coolest ones that I think, and I definitely want to try out. It's called the Abomination Factory, and essentially it lets you build fleshwork creatures used to house a soul. So there'll be souls that don't have a physical body, and your goal is going to be to build a creature and to put that soul in. And obviously, just like all of them, you'll be able to get rewards for that. But of course, these rewards it originally said loot for like the Venthyr. I'm assuming that the rewards will be sort of similar and universal throughout all of them. But of course, the type of rewards, I mean, like it's not gonna be the exact same reward. But uh, I just think it's a cool idea to, be able to build a sort of creature to house a soul, and just the necromancy in general is always cool to me, and I really like uh, the Death Knight Legion Order Hall story was like my favorite one, and just being able to do these kind of things is just really cool. So I'm definitely excited about that. And then finally, the Night Fae in Ardenweald has the Queen's Conservatory. And this was explained as a sort of a soul garden that will work similar to the farm from Pandaria, if you remember how that worked. And your goal is to nurture souls back to life. And it's this area to where you have the seed and it has a soul, and you'll kind of, uh, nurture it, just like a farm. And it kind of reminded me of early in the Night Fate campaign when you have this seed that you're helping out in the story. I don't want to spoil it at all, but you have this seed and you're kind of helping the Night Fae nurture it back to life. So I think it's gonna be similar to that, but in your own like soul garden farm, as he said. So that'll be pretty interesting. A lot of interesting features, and like just that alone will I'm definitely going to want to play through all four covenants. So it just kind of depends on which one for which character, and we still don't know how that'll work, like how balanced they'll be. And then finally, the last dungeon, Theater of Pain, a max level dungeon, will be also available for testing. And this was described as a arena-like, and it's non-linear. So you'll be able to choose which factions you engage with first, they said. And it's a sort of just, he said might is right, and just they're kind of proving their strength in this Theater of Pain. So, this is going to be interesting. And because it's beta and a lot more people will be in, I'm hoping that I can finally test these dungeons. I tested the first like 3 dungeons that were added, but it just became increasingly difficult. As somebody that was in the alpha that didn't know anybody else, wasn't playing with anybody else, trying to just do the dungeon finder, even in trade chat and all this other stuff that I tried to get people and I just couldn't. So I weren't able to test like the last few dungeons and stuff that I really wanted to test. But hopefully with beta now, we'll be able to test. I'll personally be able to test like Theater of Pain and other dungeons. So I'm definitely excited about that. They also talked a little bit more, and there will be a little short clip as well showing the Maw Zone, a little bit of what to expect from the max level Maw Zone. So the Maw will be, as he described, a more sandbox style, kind of like Mechagon and other sandbox things in the past. So there'll be things to discover, secrets and other stuff like that, instead of just this linear like storyline thing. There'll still be a story, I'm assuming, obviously for the Maw, but he also said that you're not welcome there, and there's from what I understood, an actual mechanic. The more you do in the Maw, the more attention that you'll attract from the jailer, and you'll eventually have to sort of escape, which kind of reminded me of like how Torghast works, but just a little bit different. In Torghast, the more times you die, you'll eventually attract the Terragru, and then you won't be able to progress anymore. So similar to that, the more things you do, he said, like, the more elite champions you kill and other stuff like that, you'll attract the jailer and you'll have to make a hasty retreat. I don't know what any of that means, but I'm just going to assume it's a mechanic built into the zone to where you can kind of explore and stuff, but if the more, attention you attract, the more things you do, you're going to have to like leave. And again, we don't know exactly how that's going to work, but that's definitely an interesting mechanic. And finally, we come to the in-game testing that they're going to be doing, all of the extra stuff that's going to be happening in the weeks to come. And one thing is raid and mythic plus testing. So they're going to test Castle Nathria. They're going to test every single difficulty from raid finder to mythic. And they did say they were going to do like targeted invites for testing. It wasn't clear if they meant just for in general testing or just for the mythic testing, but they're going to definitely try and get ways to tune mythic testing. So that's going to be interesting. I've never done mythic raid testing in the past, so I don't know how that'll work, but they're going to be testing the raid. And then they're going to be testing, obviously Mythic Plus. He said probably have a sort of a vendor that sells keys just so you can get in there and test them instead of having to actually run through the dungeons to get the keys. So be able to actually test, I'm assuming, each specific dungeon on different levels, including the new seasonal affix, which wasn't described at all. And then, legendary rune crafting, which is basically the legendary crafting system. It didn't have an actual name, but so legendary rune crafting, I assume, is what they're calling it. It's just how you're going to be able to craft your legendary effects. I mean, this is all stuff that we've already known about, but just gave a little bit more detail, or you know that it's going to be later this month. You'll be able to craft specific effects onto your gear. Not much more was given, but it's we're going to finally be able to test that. So I'll be definitely doing videos on all of this stuff as it gets put into beta. And another thing that was talked about was they're going to be character wiping, which I thought was interesting, later this month because they want to do progression testing and they're going to have character copies. So you'll be able to copy your characters from the live servers. They want to test, going from BFA to, um, Endgame in Shadowlands. So that's going to be something. Again, it's not clear. They didn't actually say there would be max level character pre-mades, at least not yet. I can't imagine that they wouldn't do it. I don't think they did that in BFA, and it was a very bad mistake. But they didn't. He didn't mention that, and they want to test the progression system. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that they will have max level pre-mades available. So it is a it is an interesting situation to be in, and it's not a great it's not a great situation. It's hard to really solve this problem. They want to test leveling. Obviously, they want to test leveling from a character. When you come from BFA and you going all the way through the Shadowlands to max level, they want to test that. Obviously, they want to make sure that's a great experience. But you also want to test in game. So here's the problem that they have. If they have max level characters available for in-game testing, most people are not going to go through that leveling process. They're just going to make the pre-made max level characters and do in-game testing or play whatever, and they're not going to get as much testing. However, on the other side, if they don't allow max level pre-mades, there's going to be far less people, or at least a wide range of classes, because not many people are going to want to level up multiple classes unless there's like accelerated leveling through the zones, and so they may get more testing of the leveling process, but then they'll get less in-game testing. So yeah, I don't know. But in my opinion, they definitely need to have prioritize in-game testing because that's what I think is the most important thing. Yes, they want to get the leveling process there, but if the end game isn't tested thoroughly and there are severe issues, like this is serious, these are some serious systems here with the covenants. It is very intricate and tied to your character and everything. And if they don't get the balance right, then it's gonna be a failed expansion. So even though I do see the importance of testing the leveling process, the end to end, as he said, going from BFA to Shadowlands, we definitely need to have those pre-mades because you need to be able to choose. You need to be able to test the max level content, test all the different covenants for each class and spec, and to do that while having to level up, that's going to be a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of people just aren't going to be able to even do that. It's going to be far less testing. Now, again, they didn't say that there wouldn't be pre-mades. They just said that they were going to have character copies and they're going to wipe, and that they want to test leveling. So I am holding out, and they've been doing great this whole time with testing. So I am sure that they're going to have pre-mades, but I just don't know when. And if they don't have it at the start of the beta or later this month, I'm really hoping that they get it soon because we definitely need to test extensively all the in-game stuff. So, anyway, that's all for the news. Hopefully, I got to be able to, cut it down to manageable instead of having to watch the entire thing and hit all of the important parts. If you liked the video, please give a like, subscribe for future videos. I'll definitely be playing a lot more. I'm going to be streaming more with, when the beta officially starts. And as always, thanks for watching.